Okay, here we go.
Sulfurization is even still done by the United States Mint. Sulfur is highly reactive, and by adding small amounts of sulfur into the crucible, unwanted metals are transformed into sulfides, such as iron sulfide or copper sulfide. This reaction will even flash and smoke. The gold itself is resistant to this reaction and will settle to the bottom in a more purified form, since the other metals, now trapped as sulfides,
Eliminate the dross, refine the gold. Amen.
float to the top. The ancients would not have understood the chemistry behind this process, but they most certainly would have understood the results. Pure gold. But what about being tormented in fire? Well, the Greek word translated as torment is actually the word touchstone. This is the Greek word vasanizo, which comes from the root word basanos, which is originally a black silicone-based stone used as a touchstone to test the purity of precious metals like silver and gold. The Greek word basanos is also where we get the word basalt, a type of rock that was used for making touchstones in the ancient world. The Apostle John is using this word in its very literal original meaning, the testing of gold. John's use of the word touchstone absolutely confirms that the lake of fire is the word picture of the gold refiner's crucible. Tormented in modern Bibles, a process for testing the purity of gold. An additional test for assaying the gold can be performed as well by applying an acid to that line of gold on the touchstone. The non-gold elements will react and even smoke, the same as when you put sulfur in the crucible. If there are a lot of impurities in that gold, the jeweler is going to see a little puff of smoke and some bubbling come off that touchstone, which is actually hydrogen gas from the chemical reaction. Therefore, the lake of fire is not a realm of eternal torture and fire. It's the same word picture that King Solomon was using in Proverbs 17:3. The lake of fire is a metaphor of gold refining and not an actual place or lake at all. The Apostle John is using the abstract idea, a word picture of a person being refined like gold, being refined, then tested, then refined again, with each cycle resulting in higher grades of purity. This word picture that John is using was not meant to be viewed as eternal torture or punishment, but rather it is the word picture of a process that has a goal and an end in mind. And that end is to bring out the goodness and purity of that person. But doesn't this passage say forever and ever? Well, yeah, if you're reading the New American Standard or the NIV or the ESV or any of these translations where apparently the scholars don't know how to read Greek, it says forever and ever. That phrase, forever and ever, is actually 5 Greek words, eyes, toes, which literally means in the age of ages. And another thing that you need to be aware of in these passages that changes the meaning of the passage is that modern Bible translations have dropped the Greek preposition eis, which means in or into, and inserted forever. They literally dropped the preposition that means in or into and inserted the word forever. So if you wanted to create a translation so an English reader could actually understand the passage, you would be reading in the age of ages, not forever and ever, but in the age of ages. And this applies to all these passages in the book of Revelations, translated as forever. For example, the passage that says, they will reign forever and ever, is incorrect. The passage should actually read, in the age of ages. It's not that eternity doesn't exist, that's simply not the context of these passages. Getting the preposition correct is critical to understanding these passages. It's the difference between the idea of merely being somewhere and the idea of duration of time. In other words, the passage is telling us when this will happen.